Today, we are having a conversation with Dr. Shannon Kersey, principal of Alpharetta High School, and Mr. Mike Shifley, assistant principal of Alpharetta High School. Both Dr. Kersey and Mr. Shifley participated in the National Association of Elementary School Principals National Mentoring, Training, and Certification Program through a partnership with Fulton County Schools. Thank you both for your time with us today. Let's start with you, Dr. Kersey. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about how you became involved in this program?
Yes, thank you. Happy to be here. I am the principal of Alpharetta High School, and I just finished my 12th year, and prior to that I had been an assistant principal as well as a teacher. At the beginning of this school year, Fulton County Schools reached out to about 15 to 20 school leaders, principals, and district level leaders and asked us to come to a meeting where we learned about this certification program. And it was explained to us that it was really important to Fulton County Schools that we build a culture of coaching in the school district. And so this was the inaugural cohort, and that's how I became a participant.
Perfect. Can you tell us a little bit about this program and really what its overall purpose is?
Sure. So every one of the Fulton County Schools leaders that was invited, we were assigned as a mentor, and then we were provided a protege. The goal is for the mentor to really learn the skills and behaviors on how to be an effective mentor, and then practice those mentorship skills during a 9-month internship where we have monthly meetings with the other mentors with a national certified coach already. And then we also log 72 hours of meeting time with the protege. So it is quite a commitment.
Sounds like one for sure. Can you tell us a little bit about your assigned protege?
Sure. So that was interesting because when I first participated in the program, my assumption was that I would probably be assigned like an aspiring assistant principal or perhaps an aspiring principal. However, I was assigned a tenured principal. And that really went back to one of the key components of our initial training is that they're trying to build a culture of coaching. And I really liked the sports analogy that was provided to us, that even your best athletes, and they use Tiger Woods as an example, have coaches, and that the coach for athletes like that, it really just helps that person remain focused and remember what those best practices are, and that even the best athletes have coaches. And so that was really how I was able to talk with my protege and really help him understand why is he being asked to be a protege in a program when he's a veteran, experienced, successful principal.
Great information. So, Mr. Shifley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your assigned mentor, and from your vantage point, tell us about what the goals of the program were as you were serving in this protege role.
So my name is Mike Shifley, and I am an assistant principal here at Alpharetta High School, and I was assigned the mentor of Dr. Taylor Burton, who is a principal in Fulton County Schools. And the experience for me with Dr. Barton was really about kind of self-reflection and kind of fine-tuning my leadership abilities, being able to understand and reflect on how I interact with people and engage with people, and being able to really learn from him that kind of level of engagement, really understanding from the perspectives of a community, what the community needs are, and how to really work towards a better understanding of that.
Awesome. So as a mentor that's striving to earn this national certification, can you tell us what you've learned through this program?
So I'm actually the mentee. Dr. Barton is my mentor, but my work with him as he's striving to earn this certification, I think, is very specific to, as an aspiring principal myself, is that his goal is to really prepare me to take that next step in leadership. So understanding what the role of assistant principal is, and then how to transition into leading a school community. And Dr. Barton brings extensive experience at multiple levels, middle, high school, and elementary school, and so he's been really instrumental in providing the opportunities to learn about leadership at the elementary and middle school level specifically.
Awesome. So, Dr. Kersey, I'm curious. I'd like to know in what areas, as a mentor, in what areas do you feel that you've kind of learned the most being a mentor?
That's a great question. I want to back up a little bit because the overall structure of this certification program was really important. So it was very well organized around 3 pillars. The pillars were building culture, empowering people, and optimizing systems. And then beyond that, there were 4 priorities. And the priorities are diversity, equity, and inclusion, a trusting, positive relationship, having high expectations for student and teacher growth, and social and emotional development and well-being. And then finally, probably the majority of the learning that we did as mentors was around the 6 competencies. And the 6 competencies are an effective mentor sets high expectations for self-development and high-quality professional growth opportunities. Competency 2, an effective mentor has knowledge of and utilizes mentoring and coaching best practices. Competency 3, an effective mentor is active in instructional leadership. Competency 4, an effective mentor respects confidentiality and a code of ethics in the mentor-protege relationship. Competency 5, an effective mentor contributes to the body of knowledge as it pertains to principal and administrative mentoring. And competency 6, an effective mentor fosters a culture that promotes formal and informal mentoring and relationships. So as you can see, we really learned a lot, we focused a lot, and I feel the area that I learned the most as a mentor was how different it is to mentor someone outside of your school setting. So most of my leadership development and mentoring has been just part of my work, really more informal, my day-to-day interactions with my team, and just us doing our work together and me trying to model best practices and thereby those that work with me, learning with me and from me. It was very different, the skills and the practices that you have to have when you mentor someone that you do not work with on a daily basis. There's a lot of learning there.
That definitely sounds like a lot of learning. I'm curious, Mr. Shifley, after hearing what Dr. Kersey has talked about with the competencies and the requirements and skill set, in what ways did participating in this program allow to help grow you as a leader?
So I think, Dr. Barton really challenged me professionally. There were situations in our many frequent meetings where, he really took me out of my comfort zone and was able to not only ask strategic questions, but really make kind of strategic demands of my action. And really, I said earlier that it was important that I be self-reflective, and he really allowed me to, through those challenges, grow as a leader and realizing things that perhaps I had never realized before.
Awesome. All great areas for an aspiring principal. In what ways, Dr. Kersey, did participating in this program help you grow even as a mentor to others?
So it really was interesting because Mike Shifley is in my building and he was a participant. So I would meet monthly with Dr. Barton and several other principals. And then I was meeting with a Fulton County Schools middle school principal as the mentor. And so again, really the biggest takeaway, hearing what Mr. Shifley learned and then experiencing what I felt as a mentor, that there is great benefit in having someone in your building that you are working with to develop skills, but it's also important to have somebody outside of your building that is working with you, because the skill sets that you do learn are going to be different. And so that's really important perspective and a meaningful part of this program.
So, Mr. Shifley, what do you feel as you've gone through this program were the greatest obstacles as you participated in this program?
So I've said this before in some informal interviews associated with the program, but for me personally, this was some of the best professional development that I've received in Fulton County. So as far as obstacles are concerned, I go back to the personal challenges that Dr. Barton put in front of me to grow me and to challenge me personally. But Dr. Barton and I had a great relationship. We continue to have that relationship where we text each other for a check-in. We might schedule a road run. We're both runners. So we have this opportunity to, if we can't find time during the instructional day to meet, maybe we're finding some time outside of the day. So I think it's been really great that he's been able to dedicate that time to my professional growth, and that we've been able to find that mutual time. And then he's also really helped me network. I've been able to visit specifically 5 elementary schools this semester as part of that growth, and I've really enjoyed my time spent outside of Alpharetta High School and getting to know other communities at a different level.
That's great. Networking opportunities are always so great. What about you, Dr. Kersey? What about those obstacles that you may have faced, been challenged with? What would you say about those obstacles?
I would say that finding the time for 2, busy principals was the biggest challenge. And for example, we had several meetings planned where my protege was planning to come and spend the day at Alpharetta High School with our team, but then an emergency would happen at his school, or one day 2 of his APs weren't there, and so he wasn't able to come. So that definitely was a challenge. But in the big scheme of things, he and I really grew a lot closer. We are in the same zone, but now we find each other. And it helped reinforce best practices for me. And he's an aspiring high school principal, so that juxtaposition between the middle school and the high school was great. So really the only challenge was time. Everything else about the program was beneficial, and I'm just thankful that he was open to helping me learn and grow, because that's really what he was doing for me, is helping me learn these new skills.
Time seems to be a very popular obstacle we all face.
Indeed.
So the good news is that Fulton County is planning to continue with another cohort of leaders to participate in this program. What would you like those leaders who are possibly considering this program, what would you like to share as they're making their decision whether or not to participate?
I would strongly encourage the leaders to participate in this program. One of the things you'll hear a lot about leadership, and especially being a principal, is that it's a lonely job because you're the only one in your building that has that role. And principals often say that what we really want the most is just time with other principals. So that was very beneficial, whether it was me meeting with my protege, but also those monthly meetings. So I became much closer to the other principals who were the mentors, and just that relationship with that principal. If he does become a high school principal, I hope that the things that he learned with me will help him jumpstart that role and be successful in the next step.
Such great information, even as someone aspiring to be a leader one day. I'm curious to hear specifically from you, as a mentee in the program, what would you say, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's looking to take a step into this journey?
So I would absolutely recommend this program for an aspiring leader. For me personally, I think the biggest benefit of the program is that you work alongside a professional in developing a plan and an approach to that plan that's tailored and specific to where you are in your career. So it's not a boxed professional development. It's sitting down and it's getting to know one another, and it's developing a plan that's very specific to address and support your strengths, but then also to identify some of those perhaps gaps in your career and your experiences, and then address those and give you opportunities to learn. So I like the fact that it's very individualized, and I think that's for me why it was so beneficial, and I found it to be so rewarding.
Great information. So as we get ready to wrap up, one thing I do want to tell you both is thank you both for taking the time to speak with me today and share your experiences. It really is very valuable coming from someone who is looking to take another step eventually in my educational career. So thank you both very much for your leadership. As we say here at Alpharetta, leadership truly does matter. So thank you for Fulton County Schools for your involvement in the leaders in our school system, and I look forward to seeing it through one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.